Here we come, blue and white, and we're looking good. You'll be in for a fight, and we fight pretty good. Getting goals is our job, and we get goals good. Looking good, we are Carlisle United.
Carlisle United, the team that's on the ball. Carlisle United, the team for one and all. You're looking good, and we're with you all the way. You'll hear us singing every time you play.
Gimme, gimme, gimme a goal after midnight. Hello everyone and welcome to the Brunton Bugle, a podcast focusing on the trials and tribulations of Carlisle United Football Club. From Kevin Carr to Tony Craig and Paul Gorman to Tony Galore, we've got it covered. This is episode 4 and as usual I'm joined by one of my co-hosts. This week it's Dan McLennan. Dan, it's the question I always have to ask, but how's it going?
Not too bad, mate.
Yeah. Are you very excited that the fixtures are finally out?
Yeah, I think the fixtures finally coming out gives a sense of, it's not far away now. Friendlies are coming thick and fast. Cup draws have been made. Fixtures are out, and yes, it's going to be different, but at least we've got something to sort of look forward to now.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's the big thing, isn't it? It's been months of sort of almost wondering if football was even going to come back. There was a genuine thought that clubs were going to go to the wall, but they seem to have found solutions to get things going. So that's really good to see. Oh, I was going to say to you that in the introduction, obviously, I named the 4 players as usual. Do you know what connects those 4 players?
Oh, that's a good question.
You won't get it, so I might as well tell you. They played in the first Carlisle United games that both me and you went to.
Ah, right.
So Kevin Carr and Paul Gorman obviously played. I think your first game was Bradford home, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bradford in 85, yeah.
And Tony Craig and Tony Galore both played against Bury on 27th December 1994, that famous 3-0 win in the 3rd Division title winning season. So yeah, that's the reason I picked those on this week. Just want to have a nice little connection for us.
Yeah.
But, little tenuous to everybody else, but for us it's an interesting one. Okay, so coming up in this episode, we've got a wide range of topics to talk about as usual, including fixtures. That's the key one. We're very excited for that. So we've got League Cup and some other competition that we might briefly touch on. 3 more signings. So 3 more players are coming the door to add to the 8 that already came in. A little update on trialists. 2 more friendlies at Gateshead and Wigan. He said friendless there because I put friendless instead of friendlies on the running order. Season ticket update, a very brief one there. The iFollow announcement, or not so much an announcement, sort of story that's appeared this weekend, is basically the only EFL update we've got other than fixtures, and some former Blues news as usual. But first up, our new regular feature is basically looking at some kind of quiz questions with you, Danny. So as usual, these come from the official Carlisle United quiz book. If you listen to episode 3, we talked a bit about the book, particularly the terrific endorsements it had from the likes of Carol Malia, Michael Grade and Robbie D from CFM. Quite the bunch, I think we'd all agree.
Yeah.
Still tickles me that the Carol Malia and Robbie D are alongside Michael Grade. Okay, so Dan, last time I gave you a chance to pick a number, but this time I'm just going to give you the questions and we'll go back to picking a number next time. So
I think I'll do well to get 9 out of 10 this week. I don't know why. I think these can be hard. I'm not sure what they are, but we'll give it a go.
Okay, so let's see, which one should I pick? Okay, I'm going to do the... I'm trying to see, there's a few here. I should have just given you a chance to pick a number now. Alright, tell you what do you want? Do you want history of the club, who am I, or club records?
Who am I?
Who am I? Right, okay. Let's
and then all our listeners can play along as well.
Exactly that. Okay, so first up, question 1. I was born in England but played international football for another country. When I turned 19, I worked at Easington Colliery and managed my adopted country 6 times, losing all 6 games.
Oh, I know who that is, and I can't remember his name.
Because there's not many people who've managed a country and also played for us, is there?
Yeah. Oh, leave that one with me, and we'll come back to it.
Okay.
It's one of the earlier managers, isn't it?
It will be, I think. Yes. So,
yeah.
Question 2. I played for Carl United in the early 1970s and was voted Queen's Park Rangers' greatest ever player of all time. Right,
Stamballs.
It's going to be Stamballs, yep. Of course it is. Question 3. I played under 3 different managers at Carlisle United and made 12 appearances at wing half inside forward for Rochdale. I played both my first and last league games against Hartlepool United.
Say that first bit again.
I think you might struggle to get this. Looking at the name, I just checked. I played under 3 different managers at Carl United and made 12 appearances at wing half / inside forward for Rochdale. I played both my first and last league games against Hartlepool United.
Oh, I'll have to pass on that one.
It's Eric Hayton. I have no idea. It's not a name that jumps out to me.
Going back to the manager one, I'm going to go with, I'm sure, was it Andy Beattie managed Scotland?
It's not. It's Gordon Bradley was the answer.
Right.
But that's the one I thought it was, to be fair. So I would have gone for the same. Okay, I think you might have a better chance of the next one. So question 4, sorry. On New Year's Day in 1983, I played for Carl United against my former club Newcastle United at St James's Park and scored the opening goal of a thrilling 2-2 draw.
That would be, I'm guessing, Alan Shoulder?
Correct. Good answer. Good answer there.
What you would give for an Alan Shoulder up front now.
Question 5. I was born in Pretoria, South Africa on the 5th of January 1929 and joined Clyde FC shortly after the end of World War II. I played for Hull City and Norwich City as well as Carl United. That should be an easy one, that one.
Oh, that's... I forgot his name.
Maybe alliteration in his name.
It's... We'll come back to that one. It's going to annoy me.
We'll come back to that one as well. Okay, question 6. I am a local lad and joined Carl United not long after the end of World War II. I played in defence for the club in 2 different spells there and scored twice, but not at home. Well, that's a tough one, that one, in terms of the clues. It doesn't tell you much. All I'll tell you is him being sold helped fund a new stand for the club.
You picked some hard ones that I know and I can't remember them today.
I'll give you another clue for that one. Ice cream.
Twentyman.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
Jeff Twentyman. Question.
Alf Ackerman.
Alf Ackerman. Yes, you've got that.
Yes,
I knew you were going to get that one eventually. You're racking your brain for it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Question 7. When I joined Carl United in the summer 1962, they were in Division 3. They dropped to Division 4 but bounced back in the season 64-65 and I won a Division 3 winners medal and they were promoted to Division 2. I left the club in 1978 when I lost my number 1 jersey to a teammate.
Alan Ross.
Of course it is, yes. Very easy, that one. Question 8. I began my professional career at Manchester City in 1988 and played for 10 professional clubs in my career, playing 78 games and scoring 4 goals for Carl United in defence from 98 to 2000.
Oh, the little fella. Oh, what's he called? I don't
think you're on the right lines there. 78 games and scoring 4 goals for Carlisle in defence from 1998 to 2000.
David Brightwell.
Correct. It is David Brightwell.
Because he started at Man City, didn't he?
Yes, he did. His brother was there, Ian Brightwell, wasn't he? He did a lot better than him, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, this one should be easy just from the first 5 words, isn't it? I was born in Poland in 1963 and played for Aston Villa, Sunderland and Wolves before moving to Carlisle in 1998.
Darius Kubicki.
He was he? He played in the World Cup, didn't he?
Yeah,
I'm sure he did for them. And didn't he get?
I want to say 1990.
I think he's been in a little bit of trouble with the law in recent years. I'm not going to say exactly what because I might be wrong on that one. I don't want us to get in trouble, but if you Google it, you'll find out. And finally, question 10. I began my professional career with Carlisle in 1998, and my other clubs include Derby County and Sunderland. I'm a Republic of Ireland international.
Oh, Rory Delap.
Yes, of course it is Rory Delap.
Yeah.
Easy enough. So I think from that, you only got 1 or 2 wrong, was it?
Yeah,
First
I'll take
one,
that.
2. So you got 2 wrong, so 8 out of 10. But I think they were a bit tougher than last time, I think it's fair to say, those questions. So I'll have a ratch through the book and find some more interesting ones for next time anyway. Okay, so I think that just about wraps up the quiz section. Dan?
Just before we leave the quiz section, I've just opened Google up on my computer.
Yeah.
And Darius Kubicki
Yeah.
was involved in a bribery scandal involving the sale of a Warsaw sports centre in October 2007.
Terrific, that idea. That's the kind of thing, the stories you want to hear about. It's unbelievable.
He was... I think he was involved with Lechia Gdansk at the time.
Yeah, I think he's been involved in some management or maybe sporting director roles, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, he's always seemed to have had a job in football with some names I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce.
Let's probably just leave it there, because if we go down a Polish names thing, we're going to be in a bit of a mess. Yeah. Okay, Dan, so let's get stuck into the main part of the show. First up, we've waited long enough, so it's time to talk about the new season's fixtures.
So, Hartlepool with the free kick, looking for Toure, knocks it out onto the left-hand side to Kitching. He's looking to get past his man. Toure's inside. And, well, we said about Toure before the kick-off, didn't we? We are 2.5 minutes in, and Toure picks it up inside the foul penalty area, completely unmarked. Was it a shot? Was it a cross? He knew where he was putting that, Nick. It's gone in the top corner past James Montgomery's left hand into the top corner.
Okay, Dan, as we said before the start of part one there, we're going to talk about fixtures. First up, let's talk about the Carabao Cup first round draw. Massive shock to see that we were the last team drawn out, away from home as well. Nothing changes there, does it really?
No,
I can't think of a draw where we haven't been drawn out last for a while.
I was sat watching the draw at home, and there was one or two games came out, and you were like, "Oh, you take that." And then, longer it got on, I just thought, something, we're coming out last again, aren't we?
It's typical, isn't it? But to be fair, the game we've been given, Oldham Athletic away, in terms of being a winnable tie, there's probably not many others you would have picked, really, for us, is there? When you look at the teams that are available.
Obviously, you want to be at home.
Yes.
And failing that, if you're away, you want to be winnable. I mean, mind you, haven't said that. Last season when we drew Barnsley, a lot of people would have sort of went,
we battered them. Best performance of the season, arguably. So, yeah. It's one of those ones, isn't it? I mean, you would prefer to be at home, but in the current circumstances, we know the game's going to be behind closed doors. We already know that. It's on Saturday, the 5th of September, I think it's going to be. In the circumstances, does it matter that much? Possibly not as much as it did previously.
No.
So it's going to be an interesting one, because obviously they've got a new manager in Harry Kewell. There's been a bit of maybe not consternation about that, but it's a bit of a reaction to that. He's done okay as a manager, actually. If you look at his record, he had a bit of a funny stint. I think it was at Notts County, wasn't it? But bar that, he's done all right, actually, wherever he's been.
I don't think he's the first, or certainly the last, who's had a bit of a funny spell at Notts County, because they obviously seem a bit more settled now, but I think they had a couple of years where it was a bit crazy there. But no, it's one of those games, as we say, if you're going to be away, you want a winnable away game.
Yeah.
And we haven't done too bad at Oldham in recent years.
No, not at all.
We drew 1-1 last season. I think the season before, did we win 3-1?
We did, because Jack Selby scored that brilliant goal, didn't he, where he did that little turn on the ball.
Yes.
It was Anthony Gerrard going back as well, wasn't it?
Prior to that, I think we had that. I know it's the trophy, so it doesn't really count, but it was still a win. Was it 5-4?
Yeah,
I think
5-4, I think it was, and we got like a goal in the 90th minute or something like that as well. Crazy game, that one. But yeah, no, I think looking at it, as good as we could. I mean, the nightmare would have been Wigan away, because that's the one I think a lot of us want, really, because we haven't been to Wigan's new ground yet, which is crazy when you think how much we used to play them back in the day. But we've not actually been to the DW Stadium for a match yet, have we?
No, and I mean, when I was first going to away games in the mid-90s, we had a bit of a rival with Wigan. We played them that much, It's it was always a big away game. It's easy to get to by road or rail. We always took a good following. Yeah. We always seemed to get them in the FA Cup.
Oh yeah.
But no, it's a long time since we've played at Wigan. I'm pretty sure the last time we played at Wigan was about 97, 98 season,
Would
I
be, wouldn't it?
guess.
Because they went up the season before with us, didn't they? I don't think they moved to the
Yeah.
JJB until a year or two later, I think, maybe after that. So,
No. But certainly the last time in the league we played them was late 90s.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, Oldham away. It's going to be a packed month though, isn't it? Because I think all the first 4 rounds of the League Cup are going to be in that first 4 weeks, aren't they? It's going to be a bit crazy.
Yeah, they've made the first games the first Saturday in September, which is actually international weekend. So you've actually got a thing where some of the championship clubs could be playing even earlier, the week before on the 29th.
Yeah.
Because obviously some of the championship clubs will have several internationals. But if you win your first round game, you are then playing on the 15th, Tuesday the 15th. If you win that, it's Tuesday the 22nd for the third round. And if you win that, it's the fourth round on Tuesday the 29th. So, you know, they've fairly packed these fixtures in to sort of... I mean, the first 2 rounds are usually August, aren't they? So
I suppose this is the advantage, isn't it, of the games being behind closed doors in a sense that they can have these games week after week. There's not really concern about fans aren't going to have time to arrange to go to the games because they're not allowed to go to the games. So for the clubs, it's not a major issue, really, is it, in terms of that? It's just going to be a shame that potentially we're going to be drawing Man United away in the third round and we're not going to be able to go, possibly. So just have to wait and see, obviously.
Yeah,
yeah, it's one of those ones. Okay, I think that just about covers the EFL Cup draw, the Carabao Cup draw. So let's move on to league fixtures. So these have all come out. Again, it's a packed schedule, isn't it, Dan? Really, there's a lot of midweek games in there. There's going to be a lot of tired legs, I think, throughout the season, and that squad's going to get a hell of a workout, isn't it? Really, over the next 8 or 9 months. Yeah,
it also ties in with the League Cup. I think you'll actually have a few teams who've maybe got a tough draw away, who'll maybe think, do we really need to load our fixtures up this early, considering how many we're going to have? If you've got a smaller squad, you know, the League Cup and the trophy might just be, you know, left to ruin. But no, it's busy. I think, is it 11 or 12 midweek fixtures?
I think it's 11 in our league, isn't it? I think it might be even more in the Championship.
Yeah, I think we've ended up with 6 at home and 5 away, which is always it's a little advantage, you know. But no, it's certainly going to be a long old slog. I mean, we were talking when they came out. I think it's December has 7 matches.
Yeah.
Which, yes, it's usually busy around Christmas, but 7 games in December without any cups is some going, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well, though, if you actually looked at the schedule, the FA Cup is, I think, a week earlier than it normally is. I think it's just at the end of November rather than the start of December, possibly. The feeling it is. Let me load up the actual fixtures because I'll be able to tell if I look at December.
Yeah, I think is it possibly the 28th?
Yes.
The 7th and the 28th, I think it is.
Yes, because when you look, which actually shows them even closer, because normally there's a 3-week gap, I think, between the two, isn't there? So it shows again that they've crammed them in, and there's obviously no FA Cup replays this season, is there? So
that is a 3-week.
Oh, sorry, you're right. You are right. It is a 3-week gap. I'm looking at the numbers here. You'd never guess I got an A in GCSE maths, would you? That kind of thing. But yeah,
next episode, mathematics with Lee.
Oh God, can you imagine? So let's have just a look at some of the key fixtures to start out. So first up, Cambridge away. Middling sort of fixtures, isn't it, really? The CUFC derby, or one of the two of them. Yeah,
it's for some fans, I think it was maybe a little bit of a disappointment to be away first, but considering there's going to be no fans, does it really matter this season?
No.
Although I did see a whisper that Cambridge would possibly be involved in some sort of test fixtures in September.
Yeah, I saw that, but the suggestion all around seems to be that away fans aren't going to be going to any games for quite a while. So if it is, it'll be Cambridge fans. And the reason I think they're picking Cambridge as one of the test things is because it's a very sort of cramped and old facility sort of ground. bar one stand behind the goal.
Apart from that stand behind
Yeah.
the goal, which is for away fans these days, yeah.
Yeah, which is about a mile from the pitch as well for some bizarre reason.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they probably wanted to move their ground in a similar way that Knighton wanted to move ours.
I would guess so.
Yeah, so Cambridge will be an interesting one because I seem to remember they had a decent-ish sort of run towards the end of last season. I think they picked up a little bit of form under their new manager. That seems to ring a bell. To be honest, I've not looked. I'm not going to lie. I'm not done my research as usual. But so it'll be interesting. Obviously, Jack Idell's just gone there, so be facing up against him. Decent move for him, actually. To be fair, I've got to say that.
Yeah, landed a 2-year deal, so he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. So first home game. The second match is Southend at home. This will be an interesting one because they were in absolute shambles last season, weren't they? When you look at their results, when you consider that, did they finish bottom in the end behind Bolton, who had a points deduction? I think
it was very close. They were absolutely atrocious, and they brought Super Sol Campbell in as manager in about December time.
But even he couldn't solve that mess.
He made zero difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know that they lost nearly every game under him. So, and apparently I think they've got a bit of off-field problems by the sound of it, possibly financially.
They've been struggling for a few years, haven't they? I think they've just been about scraping to keep in the League One last few years. So it'll be an interesting test. You know, normally you think our team coming down that'd be tough, but actually you look at it, I think to myself that's a winnable first home game. Really,
yeah.
If we've got ambitions of doing well, then it's a game we can win.
Definitely.
And it'll be an interesting test anyway. Okay, let's just look at the Christmas fixtures quickly then. Boxing Day, Bolton home. Probably as good a fixture as we could have picked for this, isn't it? Because you don't want your Barrow one there, because the Barrow one is going to probably be a decent one anyway, and they'd then probably close all the pubs and stuff like that one day, I guess, if it was Barrow on Boxing Day. So Bolton home on Boxing Day, in normal circumstances, I'm saying here, actually, is as good as you could hope for.
Yeah, in normal circumstances. I mean, you would assume Bolton will be up there. You would expect them to bring a good travelling support. I mean, we haven't played Bolton in a league fixture for...
I think since I was born, probably. I'd imagine that season, maybe. I'm not sure
I'm just loading it up here. Last game against Bolton was 1988.
Oh, that's a bit
March
sooner than I
88.
thought.
Yeah, we got beat 2-0.
Yeah. Obviously, we played them when we opened up the stand, didn't we, as well? The famous game, I think, where Stefan played, didn't he, as a trialist and pretty much tried to kill one of their players. I seem to remember it was something like that. Good old Stefan. So Bolton home, but it's a cracking game for Boxing Day. Just a shame that it's probably going to be a limited crowd of maybe 4,000 or so no way fans. Because that's the kind of game there'll be a brilliant atmosphere.
Limited crowd. Yeah, I mean, if we did get off to a good start, and obviously Bolton were up there, you're talking a 5-figure gate potentially. You know,
if the regulations are loosened. But.
It's a good game, but it's a shame that it's under the current circumstance. I think is the best outlook on it.
Definitely. Okay, next up, 29th of December. This is a weird one. This should puzzle me because previously you'd have a game on Boxing Day. And then a game a couple of days later on one of the sort of the bank holiday it's carried over usually, isn't it, I think, or something like that, or the nearest Saturday. Yeah. But for some reason it's the Tuesday night game. So it's 20th December, we're away at Harrogate.
Boxing Day is a Saturday, so the bank holiday is on the Monday. Yeah. The natural fixture date would be the Monday.
Yeah.
But I've seen a bit of chat about this when it came out. A lot of fans are possibly thinking, is it just to keep sort of the Saturday-Tuesday pattern going for the rest of the season, given the constraints of the...
That's probably the only solution schedule I can think of, really. Obviously, with the fact that away fans probably won't be able to go either, which is absolutely gutting. But
it wouldn't be the biggest surprise if some clubs mutually agreed to play on the Monday instead of the Tuesday.
Yeah, especially if away fans are allowed to go by, then I'm sure Harrogate would rather play us on a Monday when we'll bring a decent crowd down. It depends. We're looking into the future and we just don't know what the situation's going to be. That's the problem. So Harrogate away, 29th of December to Tuesday night. Bit gutted about that, to be honest. If I was hoping that would be towards the end of the season, we could have a nice little trip, but never mind. Just one of those things, isn't it? And then next up, 2nd of January, strangely no New Year's Day game this year. I'm not sure there's a reason why for that, I'm sure.
I think it's because, it's a Saturday the 2nd.
I'll probably explain why. It just makes it easy, doesn't it? Leaves a little gap as well, I suppose, between the games. So 2nd of January, Walsall away. We played them around about the same time last year, didn't we, really, at Walsall? It's one of those games that always seems to be about that time of the year.
Yeah, I think it's just steady away, straight run down the motorway, isn't it? It's, it's quite good for that time of year.
Jump forward to Easter now. We'll focus on a few other fixtures in a minute, by the way. I'm not ignoring the fixtures. We just want to talk about these ones, in the key ones at the moment. Good Friday, Southend away. Nice little trip to the seaside for Easter.
Yeah, nice local trip for Good Friday. Obviously, the team will travel down on the Thursday, no doubt, and it's a bit of a shame that the airport is currently closed for flights because Carlisle to Southend was a service.
Yeah,
but no, it's a good old long slog. Obviously, you would hope we'd possibly get some away fans by the time Easter comes around.
Do you know what, Dan? I was just thinking about this before. I think Southend away was the first time I met you in person, wasn't it? I think we were on Brian Hall's bus going down, I think. I seem to remember we got stuck on... Yeah. It was a boiling hot day. I think it was under when Ian Atkins was manager. In fact, it would be Ian Atkins manager. And I remember it was a boiling hot day and we got stuck on the M25 for ages, and it was the hottest coach ever. It was one of Brian Hall's buses that used to run. And I seem to remember watching Jimmy Grimble on the video player on it or something.
Yeah, I think we actually pulled up at about 2:45 or something, didn't and the Carlisle team themselves had been held up due to bad traffic in the area caused by what had happened on the motorway.
I just remember Gordon Connolly maybe scored that day. Seems to ring a bell. Maybe Tony Hopper, possibly. I'm not sure. Yeah. Something like that. I'm sure I'll look it up later anyway. So that's Southend away on Good Friday. Easter Monday, Scunthorpe at home. That is your stereotypical Easter Monday game for me. They're never generally exciting matches, are they?
No, it's a northernish opponent, and it's one that would hope will be a win for us.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you? Final two games. So the last away game, I'm really pleased about this one. I think this is a belter. Leyton Orient away. It's one of my favourite away days because it's a nice little trip down on the train. Even from Liverpool, it's 2 hours. From Carlisle, it's 3 hours now, is it these days?
Yeah, 3.25 hours.
It's just perfect, isn't it? It's a great away day to finish the season.
Orient, one of those games that a lot of people look forward to because it's a trip to London. There's a couple of decent pubs at Orient. You can get a good pint round the Liverpool Street area before you head up to Orient, and it's just usually, and we don't normally do too bad at Orient either. It's one of those games that I certainly look forward to fixtures come out, and it'd be nice if we can have some fans in because it's one I like to do myself.
Yeah, I'd hope by then that surely fans would be allowed, and go and have a nice pint in. It's the Coach and Horses, isn't it? The one we usually go to.
Yeah, I've actually stopped in the Coach and Horses for a week. When I worked in East London, I worked on a project down the road, and when we went there, we needed digs for a week, and we stopped in what can only be described as a 16-bedded room on the top floor that was 4 gangs of lads working on jobs.
I can imagine the smell of that room. It must have been something else.
It was interesting, shall we say?
Yeah, but, I can just imagine that.
But no, it's always a good pub, and it's one of those popular away pubs everyone knows. So.
Yeah. We'd have to do maybe a special on away days and on away pubs or something like that. I reckon that'd be a good one because there's plenty of stories from them, I'm sure. Okay, last game overall, last home game, Walsall. Again, just good to have a home game to finish the season, isn't it? Actually, we would have had one this season, but obviously didn't happen.
It's quite similar to the Scunthorpe on Easter Monday. It's just your nondescript sort of opponent at home. So
yeah.
Hopefully we'll all be socially distanced celebrating on the pitch.
Indeed. Well, hopefully those regulations have been dropped and we can all celebrate together with any luck. But it's a good one for Walsall as well, I suppose. Actually, the easy one for them to get up to, so they'll be happy enough with that. Okay, let's look at the other games. There's 3 we've picked out here. We'll maybe have a quick scan through the fixture list again in a minute, but the ones everyone's obviously talking about, Barrow. So Barrow home is on the 3rd of October. Now I say that with a little trepidation really, because we thought at first start of October is when fans are going to be allowed back in, didn't we?
Yes.
But what we're reading now, particularly what Nigel Clibbins has been saying on the official website, we're not 100% on that now, are we?
No, it was quite. I've seen a couple of people sort of mention this. His wording seemed to suggest that it will be the end of October, didn't it?
Yeah, that's the
I'm
impression I got.
here.
That's the impression I got. So, I mean, it's bad enough that away fans aren't going to be allowed, because it would have been a great atmosphere, would have been an interesting game to say the least. I would imagine if away fans had been allowed, the police probably would have been saying that's a midday kickoff. It's we're not.
Yeah,
having
what Nigel Clibbins said on the official site was, I think fixture release day helps in terms of us knowing when we may potentially be able to have fans back in. You can see with the way the fixtures have fallen that we've got 3 home games before the end of October, and based on the statement the Prime Minister made in July, it looks like we could have 20 home fixtures for season ticket holders. But obviously he does also say that, you know, it's all still very uncertain, and they're waiting to hear definitively, but it's looking like it could be a 20-game season ticket. So obviously when the fixtures came out, we only had Southend at home in September, and you were like, oh, you know, we might only miss 1 game.
Yeah.
But if a club are talking about the end of October, we've got Barrow on the 3rd, Colchester on the 17th, and then Morecambe on Tuesday the 27th.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another 3 games. So
Yeah.
are they maybe looking at the Morecambe game? Are they, you know,
Hard
I'm
to-
sure a
hard to
lot
tell, isn't
more will come out on this in the next couple of weeks. But I think there would be a bit of disappointment if it wasn't early October from most fans.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of those ones, isn't it? You look at it and you think you'd hope that Barrow game is one of the first one back, because it's a belting game to have as the first one back. I know we sort of scoffed a little bit though, they're from Lancashire, and you know it's not really a derby and stuff, but people are excited about it. So it's a game that'll get fans talking. So, and certainly I can imagine BBC Cumbria are going to make their money's worth of talking about that game, I'm sure. At least anyway.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Dual commentary from James and Adam Johnson, I'm sure. But yeah, so Barrow on the 3rd of October. Hopefully fans will be there, but we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Barrow away is on the 10th of April. Now that's quite close to the end of the season, isn't it, actually? Let me have a quick look and check again. I think there's how many games to go?
Sixth last game.
Yeah, so you know that point we could be pushing for the playoffs or promotion. You never know. Anything could be happening at that point. So it'll be an interesting one whether away fans will be allowed back then. I was reading a few things from Barrow fans on Twitter, and they seemed really pleased that it was towards the end of the season, because they were really hoping that we'd be able to get away fans to the game, because they obviously want a good atmosphere. They don't want, they want some bit of needle there, really. So, but obviously they're also looking forward to playing against Morecambe, as you can imagine.
As we said last time, Morecambe seems to be a bigger game for them. I would class ours more as the Radio Cumbria derby as opposed to a bona fide derby.
No, the A595 derby, actually. So it pretty much runs the whole way down, doesn't it, from Carlisle to Barrow? I'd love to see what the actual mileage is in terms of that as a derby, because that's a hell of a long...
Anybody who goes to watch Carlisle at Barrow using the A595 all the way, fair play to them.
I think they need their heads checked, quite frankly. It's bad enough driving there from Cockermouth. Okay, so that's the Barrow ones looked at. Bolton away. Tuesday the 20th of April, so that is the 3rd or 4th last game, is it? I think it's the 4th last game, yes. We've never played at the Reebok Stadium, have we? Obviously, as you mentioned before, we've not played them since '88, so that'll certainly be one to look forward to. I know a lot of Carlisle fans have been, who go to away games at least, have been to Bolton, though, haven't they? Because I don't know if you were on this trip, wasn't it? I went on this trip.
I went. I think we were meant to play football, and it got called off.
Yeah. It was Rochdale away, wasn't it?
Yeah, Rochdale away got called off, and Bolton were playing Huddersfield, and approximately 200 or 300 Carlisle fans changed direction and Bolton was on and all went in the away end.
Yeah.
And at half time you had this bizarre scenario of Huddersfield fans singing and then Carlisle fans singing, and everyone just like, what's going on here, you know? And they realised that Carlisle at Rochdale had been called off, so just went to a game.
My memory of that game is that Delroy Facey had an absolute blinder for Huddersfield, didn't he? He was probably best player on the pitch, and I always sort of followed his career slightly after that point, because I thought, you know, what a good little player. Never quite lived up to the promise, I don't think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bolton away. To be honest, I'm not too fussed on that one being a Tuesday night. I don't mind, because it's pretty easy to get to, isn't it? And obviously you won't be able to do it by train. Well, will you be able to do it by train, actually? You'll know this, because there's a late night train, isn't there?
There is late trains from Manchester to Carlisle. It obviously depends whether they stop at Horwich.
But I suppose if you get to Horwich, you can always get back to Manchester, can't you? Probably.
Yeah, but also, given if we are allowed decent followings by then, they could actually make a train stop almost, you know.
Yeah, possibly.
Stop ordering.
So that's an interesting one. Quick look at the fixture list. It's much of a muchness, isn't it? It's really hard to tell. I mean, like you said, December looks tough. I'm particularly looking here. We've got Salford at home to start it, then Bradford away a few days later. Mansfield at home as well. That's another tough one. Forest Green away is a long trip, and Bolton at home. That's a month that does look, not even just taking into account the fact that you've got 7 fixtures there, but just in terms of the quality of teams you're playing, it looks a tough month, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's certainly going to be, and obviously by the time December comes round, with the sort of condensed, October's a busy month with 7 games.
Yeah.
You're going to have the trophy games in September, October, November. FA Cup early rounds. You know, we could, by the time December comes, I'm just counting it up here, will be 14 league games in, 3 trophy games, at least 1 League Cup and 1 FA Cup. So you're talking at least nearly 20 games just in September, October, November. Which
that's pretty brutal, that, isn't it? When you think about it, really.
It's going to be busy, isn't it?
Definitely. The only other fixture you'd probably pick out, again, looking at it, is Morecambe away is one we always look forward to, isn't it? That's 6th of March, so hopefully away fans will be allowed by then. We can have a nice little trip to the seaside again. And the only other one I'm looking at, is because I'm annoyed about it, is my birthday's Cheltenham away, which is just a crap, boring game. I was hoping for Leighton Orient away or something like that for that weekend, but sadly we're away at Cheltenham, so I won't be going to that one on my birthday. Okay, I think that's pretty much covered the EFL fixtures. I don't think, normally you get a load of people grumbling about them, don't you, in certain parts of it, but I haven't seen really many major gripes, so I think people are generally happy, aren't they, Danny?
Yeah, there seem to be. I mean, like I said, just with all the uncertainty around the just the general fans being allowed in, it's just all different, isn't it? You know, I mean, I know one of the first things I do is fixtures come out, you check what you're working against it, and whereas this year I waited till the end of the day before I did it, just because you know that it's not going to be a while before we can go away, etc.
No, definitely not. Okay, let's move into the last bit. EFL Trophy, we're playing Fleetwood, Sunderland and Villa under 23s Academy. Don't really care, I'm not going to talk about it any more than that. To quote Richard Keys, daft little game, silly little trophy, off basically, so that's it.
Sorry, what are you talking about, mate?
Oh, sorry, nothing. Let's move on.
Nah.
No one cares. That's literally all you're going to get from us this season. We're not going to talk about the games. Neither of us care about it, so that's just the way it is. Okay, I think we've covered fixtures there, Dan, haven't we?
Yeah.
we can move on now. Let's move on to let's have part 2 now, and we're going to talk about squad updates.
In from Parla, clears away from Manaka. Furman with the left foot, drives it, what a goal! That is a stunner. Back in the lead again.
Wow. He doesn't score too many. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, is this his first?
Dean Furman with a thunderous crack for Supersport United. And they are back into the lead.
not being able to cover those areas, and also with the...
Okay, we're back. It's part 2 now, and we're going to move on to squad news. We've got some more new signings to talk about, Dan, haven't we? No, we're not done with the 8 in the week. We've got 3 more arriving through the door since then, and none of them are called Jamie Devitt.
Yeah, all gone very quiet, that one.
Yeah, it has. We haven't really got much of an update to give you on that one, so we're not going to talk about that this week. I just wanted to get his name mentioned just for the sake of it.
No, but yeah, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, as fans have noticed, Devitt's been playing in friendlies for Blackpool. So
he played against Barrow, didn't he? But he hasn't played against Everton at the weekend, where Jared Branthwaite played, started for Everton actually. Yeah. So
until we hear more, we won't really know.
Nope. Indeed. So let's just have a quick update on trialists before we move on to the new signings. Joe Fryer's gone back to Middlesbrough, partly because of one of the new signings who's arrived, I'd imagine. It seems like we're keeping an eye on him. It might be a long-term thing that we maybe go back to him at some point in the future.
I was having a little look around today, and Joe Fryer isn't actually listed on Middlesbrough's website as part of their under-23 squad. I think there was 3 or 4 keepers. He wasn't one of them. I wonder if it's like his contract's finally ran out.
Yeah.
But given he's been out injured so long, maybe
2 years.
But allowing him to regain his fitness there before he gets a move somewhere.
Well, clubs do have a duty towards players, don't they, if they've been out injured for a long time as well, I think. So that might well be it. So yeah, it doesn't look like Fryer's going to sign anytime soon, but it seems like he's one that Beach might be keen on in the future. Maybe a situation if Magnus Norman doesn't work out this season, they might look back at him next season if he's gone somewhere and done well. But they obviously keep tabs on him,
Or if Farman moves on after the year, it's
never know.
possible.
Never know. Okay, so that's Joe Fryer's moved on. Junior Mondale seems to be pretty unlucky, doesn't he? He's had a couple of knocks and hasn't actually... Well, he's played 1 game, I think, so far, hasn't he? I think the first one against Fleetwood he played briefly. But since then, he's not featured in the 2 other games, so... It's one of those ones. He's running out of time to earn a contract, isn't he?
Yeah, he's picked up a knock, and I think that it's not been the best timing, especially with the signing of Toure, which we'll come on to in a minute. Incidentally, a lot of people won't realise Junior Mondale's real name is actually Lewis Clive Scoble.
I know so that name. Nothing wrong with that,
if anybody knows why he refers to himself as Junior Mondale,
he must have a reason.
Give us a shout on Twitter or email.
Yeah, we'd love to know. Okay, well, briefly, let's touch on the final trialist. It's one that certainly caught the eye a little bit. Dean Furman, bit of quality really for midfield potentially. Ex-Rangers, Oldham and Doncaster Rovers player. He's a South African. He's in fact, I don't know if he still is, but he was the South African international captain, wasn't he? He's got a shed load of caps for them, I think. Let me just double check that because I should have looked at this before, shouldn't I? Mr. Organised as usual here. He's got, have a look, 56 caps in the last 8 years. That's pretty good going.
He's been playing back in South Africa for SuperSport United in the South African Premier League, which isn't a bad level. I think certainly the better teams in that league would give teams over here a good game.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not talking Premier League level, but certainly sort of Championship and League One. And I believe with Furman, I think it said he's possibly a child on the way.
I think he might have just had a child, possibly. I'm not sure.
Or he's got a young child, and he's obviously looking to move home.
I think for maybe the last year or so.
I say home, but obviously his footballing home is probably...
Well, he moved to England when he was 5, didn't he? So it's pretty much been his home most of his life. And I think his family might have moved back before he finished his contract at SuperSport United in South Africa.
Yeah.
So, it's... I do love the name SuperSport United, though, by the way. It just sounds like one of those made-up names from like Pro Evolution Soccer, doesn't it?
He's one of these players that I've mentioned before. I've always thought would be a good signing. Both when he left Oldham and he left Doncaster, one of those players that you just think, I wouldn't mind him here.
Yeah, solid holding midfielder. Chips him with a few goals, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, and dare I say it, would he possibly be an upgrade on Mike Jones? I know Mike Jones was a bit of a crowd favourite, hard working, but Dean Furman is certainly of a similar ilk and possibly plays slightly a level above.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mike Jones doesn't have 56 international caps, does he? Although that's probably just unlucky that he wasn't born in Cape Town. So a little bit different, isn't it, really? But yeah, no, I think he's when I saw he was linked, I thought, it's an interesting one. I wasn't sure how old he was, but he's only 32, actually. He's the same age as Jones is right now. But arguably played at a little bit of a higher level than Jones. So, yeah, it'd be an interesting one.
And he would also some much needed sort of experience. I mean, you look at our midfield options, they're all very young, aren't they? And even if he doesn't play every game, just having someone the wise old head there could be a good little move if it happens.
Yeah. Well, he played the full game in the friendly against Wigan. We'll briefly talk about that in a little bit. So the suggestion seems to be that they're probably looking at trying to offer him a deal, just from the wording of what's been said in interviews and stuff. They seem very keen, don't they? Yeah. Okay, so that's trialist covered. Let's move on to the new signings then, Dan. So first up, we've got a new goalkeeper, another one. We've only got two, and it's an interesting one. Paul Farman. You look at the stats, he's arguably one of the best keepers in League Two last season, wasn't he?
Yeah, a lot of Stevenage fans wished him well when the move was announced.
There was dozens of them, wasn't there? Yeah.
And the general gist seemed to be, yes, we got beat 2 or 3-0 every week last season, but if it wasn't for him, it would have been 4 or 5-0.
Well, did they get beat 2 or 3? No, because I'm sure did they concede less goals than us, possibly. I might be wrong on that, but I seem to remember their defensive record isn't as bad as you'd think. They were just dreadful going forward.
Yeah.
So, partly because of him, obviously.
I know on D3, D4 on Twitter, they do a few stats on obviously League Two, and as far as goalkeepers goes, Farman was in the sort of the top half a dozen for saves, and I can't remember what the other one was, but his numbers were
saves, wasn't it?
his numbers were equivalent to what you would expect of a top 6 keeper, not a bottom of the league player.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, quick look back at his career here. I've got the stats here. So he started out his youth career at Newcastle United. I think he was possibly there just before, a couple of years before Mark Gillespie was there. So I think him and Gillespie seem to know each other, don't they?
Yeah, I saw Gillespie wishing him, telling him it was a great move for him going to Carlisle. So they obviously know each other.
So he had a youth career at Newcastle, didn't make it as a professional there. Went to Blythe Spartans, had a brief loan at Washington. That's not the American side, that's the one in Sunderland, I believe. That'd be a very low level, that one. That'd probably be about Carlisle City level, I think, Washington.
Yeah.
Possibly. After he did okay at Blythe Spartans, only played 14 games. He went to Gateshead, clearly did very well there, earned a loan move to Lincoln City. And it was Lincoln City where his career really took off, wasn't it? He played 201 games for them. He was part of that team that got promoted back to the Football League and went on that incredible run in the FA Cup. Their fans seemed to really like him. For some reason he left. He had a loan spell at Boston as well, Boston United that is. For some reason he left them then in 2018. I don't know if that was them wanting to upgrade or him deciding to try and find a better deal. Went to Stevenage, played his 68 games, and now he's at Carlisle, back in the North East because he's from North Shields originally.
Yeah.
So I have to admit I'm pretty happy with that one. I think it's hard to say yet whether it's an upgrade on Adam Collin, but when you look at the two keepers you've got, there's good competition there, isn't there? That's the key thing.
Yeah, one thing we've suffered in the last couple of years is our number 2 keepers. I mean, Lewis Gray, he wasn't strong or good enough, was he?
No.
The season we had Bonham and George was sadly abysmal when he had that. Was it Stevenage we played midweek?
Oh, yes. I drove up to that game and I remember driving back and I stopped at Killington Lake Services just to grab a McDonald's. I'd basically finished work and drove straight to the game from Liverpool. And I was stood there and I was waiting for McDonald's, and who comes up next to me at the counter? It's Mike Jones to get some food. And he looks at me and I had a Hertha Berlin shirt on. I didn't have a Carlisle shirt. He's like, "What shirt's that?" It's Hertha Berlin. It's like, "All right." It's like, "So you've been to football tonight?" It's like, "Yeah. Where have you been?" I was like, and I pointed at his tracksuit. He's like, "Oh, sorry for that." we were abysmal, weren't we? To be fair, he was spot on. But yeah, Shamal George had probably one of the worst games you can imagine there. But interestingly enough, he looks like he's been offered a deal by Colchester, so he might be getting his way back into the Football League.
That is a random one.
Yeah, it's a strange one, because he was on loan at Marine at Workington's level last season.
Yeah.
Never lived up to his promise at Liverpool, his early promise.
No.
So yeah, Farman, pretty happy with that one. One brief little story about Paul Farman before we carry on. I went to watch us play at Stevenage a couple of years ago. I think it was possibly towards the end of the season with Sheridan and Presley in charge. In fact, yeah, it would be, thinking off the top of my head. And we were pretty rubbish that day. I think we got beat 2-0 or something like that. Second half, we were attacking the opposite end where they built the new stand, and we were obviously the stand behind the goal. And Farman's in net for them, and he's not got much to do. He's sort of just pottering around. And there was one bloke sat about 10, 20 yards away from me and Mike Booth, one of the other hosts on the show. And for the whole second half, every 40 seconds or so, he just went, Farman! And there'd be deadly silence, and then just go, Farman! And I thought, does he know him or something? Just bizarre. And every now and then, just Farman! And I'm just praying that fella's got a season ticket in the Warwick Road end. As you can imagine, he'll be the delight of his life to be able to shout Farman again to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, just one tickled me at the time. And as soon as I saw he was signing, I sent a message to Mike saying, "You're never going to believe this. Guess who we're signing." So yeah, so that's goalkeeper sorted. Next one up, I suppose he's classed sort of as a defender, but it seems like we're going to play him a lot further forward, where he has played further forward a lot more. He's Brendan Dickinson. Certainly one that came a bit out of the left field. There was no mention of him at all, was there? But
no, he was definitely under the radar, but he's been a good solid performer at League 1, League 2 level for 3 or 4 years, and it looks like we're going to play 4-3-3, and it looks like he could play on the left either of the front three or the middle three.
Yeah, he could play on the right as well. I think he's in the sort of I think maybe in the Nathan Thomas sort of role, isn't he?
He's also played games left back as well. I mean, we've got plenty of cover there, but in an emergency, he seems a very handy sort of player to have.
Well, watching the highlight reel that the club put up after he signed, he's sort of the shades of, I'm not saying he's a combination of the both and as good as both, but sort of shades of Nathan Thomas, but also shades of Danny Granger in there, isn't there, in terms of his long range finishing in particular and his free kicks. And it's one thing we lacked a little bit last season, wasn't it? Was set piece takers. We didn't really have anyone who could take one.
It was only when Elliot Watt came in on loan that our set pieces suddenly improved, wasn't it?
Yeah, so he's definitely one that he could add a bit of quality, and it's certainly not a gamble, is it? He's clearly had quality, but he's never played this far north, has he? When I'm just looking, so I've got his career stats up here. So he started out at Southampton as a youth player, never made a first team appearance for them. Went to Dorchester Town in the non-leagues. Clearly did very well there. 22 games, 5 goals. Was snapped up by Brighton and Hove Albion in 2012. Never played a first team game for Brighton though. He was out on loan at Chesterfield, AFC Wimbledon and Northampton Town. After that he went to Gillingham, where he must have been playing left back for them, I'm guessing, because he's 67 games and 2 goals. Then he ends up in 2016 at Colchester for 3 years, where he plays 85 games and scores 15 goals. So clearly he's probably been pushed a bit further forward, maybe played to wing back more than a left back. And he starts chipping in a few more goals as well to help the team. That earned him a move to MK Dons. That just didn't work out, did it, looking at it? He had half a season there and he played 7 games. I think Tisdale struggled a bit as manager, didn't he? And I think that maybe didn't help him. And ended up at Exeter at the end of last season. Played 10 games and scores twice. Now he's ended up with us. So that spell at Colchester shows he's got quality, and I think Gillingham fans really rated him as well. So potentially just that little bit of quality in terms of supply as well, further forward up the pitch.
Yeah, it's definitely one that fans of other teams will maybe notice and go, that's a good signing, you know.
Yeah, I think the Exeter fans are a bit disappointed that he was let go, because I think he signed for them permanently rather than on loan, actually, funny enough.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. I thought at first it was a loan spot, but it looks here like it was permanent. Okay, Dan, and so let's go on to the final signing. He's a forward, so he's a sort of striker, winger, can play across the front three by the looks of things. He hasn't got a Wikipedia page, actually. It's Gimme Toure. Interesting, wasn't it? Here is one that we had heard about, but we only heard about back in January. And then he went quiet and suddenly he's turned up again. Yeah,
it was rumoured that we were one of a host of clubs who were looking at him. And there was actually rumours of a derisory bid, but it was sort of put down to agent talk at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of those ones, isn't it? I think Hartlepool had a little bit of a grumble to the press. Didn't mention our name, but there was enough hints in the article, wasn't there, to suggest that we were the team that made the derisory offer. Similar rumours, wasn't there, about I think John Rooney, wasn't it, that we made an offer to Barrow that was a particularly poor one, apparently. So we must have been...
The less said about that, the better.
Yeah, we must have been throwing around a few notes. When I say few, I mean literally a few at that time. But yeah, so he's an interesting, wasn't he? Looking at his videos, he's certainly a player that's going to excite the fans, isn't he? But by all accounts, consistency might be the challenge with him.
He strikes me as a player who's going to go one of two ways. He'll either be Francois Zoko or Kevin Osai. There'll be no middle ground. He's got to be one or the other for me, I think.
Yeah, I can't see him being average, but I mean, looking at that first friendly against Wigan, he clearly did well in that. So he's one that I think he's one who's going to excite fans, isn't he? Seems to like cutting in from the left, doesn't he, and pinging it in the top corner. Anyway, he doesn't score simple goals.
He's also at an age where he needs to sort of prove himself now. You know, I mean, is he 26, 27?
26. 26. It's interesting. He's 26 because I think Zoka was 28 when he signed for us, wasn't he? He was a bit older, so you know. But Zoka played at a higher level, to be fair, as well.
Yeah. But no, if he really wants to make his mark on football here, we're giving him the platform, and hopefully he kicks on for us.
Yeah. Well, he's French-born, isn't he? But I think he's got Mali citizenship. I seem to remember reading somewhere. Me and you worked out, didn't we, how many French players have played for us now? I think it's 9 or 10, isn't it? Depending on how you define it. So obviously the first was big Stéphane Podavaci. You had Stéphane Lamonchon. You had Laurent Crocky. Who else was there? Kevin Asai. Mathieu Manset. Oh, you know what? I wrote this list down the other day and I didn't actually save it for myself. I sent it to you, so let me have a look. I'll see. I'll find this list, and you came up with Manset as one of the players. I'm sure you did. So.
Yeah, there was a couple you'd missed that I remembered.
Pascal Chimbonda as well, obviously. Got to remember him.
Yeah.
Technically born in Guadeloupe, but he played for the France national side.
How could you forget the greatest of them all, Junior Joachim?
Junior. I do apologise for...
And Jeremy Hellan, who was on loan from, was it Man City?
Man City, and retired from the game to follow religion, didn't he?
Yes.
So
yeah.
He just wants to... That's the full list, isn't it? I think. And Vincent Pericard, we counted. Even though he was born in Cameroon, he played for France under 21, so technically we can count him in that.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting list there. So that's 10 in total, I think, looking at it, including Touré, obviously. So yeah, there's your French players who played for us. Quick scan down through Touré's career. A bit of a mishmash, isn't it, really? He started out at Brest B. So he obviously did make the first team at Brest. Was it Viry-Châtillon?
I think, to be fair, I think their B teams are the equivalent of our under 23 teams. Yeah,
to be fair, youth level essentially was at Brest, I think. So he was at Viry-Châtillon. He was at West Brom under 23 for a bit. I didn't actually know that until I looked at it. I didn't see that mentioned anywhere. He was at La Roche-Vendée, Fontaine-Foot-Vendée. Then he ended up at Macclesfield randomly. Always seems to be players end up at random lower league English clubs, don't they, from France? Had a spell at Fylde, spell at Sutton, turned up at Hartlepool. He's had his best spell, I think, so far. And then obviously he's ended up with us. So I think he's one that certainly will excite the fans when we're allowed back in games, obviously. But good start in the friendly the other day. Let's briefly touch actually on the friendly, shall we, while we're at it. So the last two games, Gateshead. I know you didn't watch the stream, did you? Because you were calling me a scab for going on that, I think.
Yeah, boycotted it.
Exactly. Because obviously that was a bit of a late change from Gateshead. A little bit naughty. You can understand why they wanted to do it, but should really have sorted it a bit sooner. Played pretty well in spells. A bit unlucky to draw it, really. It was a wonder goal from Gateshead to equalise. Probably should have got a few more goals than we did, but these games aren't about results, really, are they? They're getting the rustiness out of them.
I did see a couple of fans complaining a little bit, 1-1 with Gateshead, but it's all about minutes in the legs at the moment, you know.
Exactly that.
You'll see all sorts of results in the next couple of weeks.
Well,
as long as players are getting football in their legs, they're getting ready, and that's when it'll matter.
The thing is, clubs are at different levels of development as well for this season, aren't they? So, for instance, Gateshead had only played a few weeks early, hadn't they, in the conference playoffs, or the National League North playoffs. So they were probably in better shape than we were in a weird turn of events. And yet, we then obviously play Wigan this weekend at Wigan's training ground, 1-2-1. That was Wigan's first game of pre-season. We were 3 games ahead of them effectively at that point. So
and I think most of the reason as to why it wasn't really talked about prior would probably, I think they're a bit apprehensive at Wigan that there could be some sort of protests given the situation they find themselves in at the moment.
Yeah, with all the off the field issues, isn't there? Really, it's one of those ones where they probably don't want fans to know that games are going on anywhere.
Yeah, I know. I think Ian Everton Bolton mentioned that they were playing Wigan on Tuesday coming up, and all hell broke loose from Wigan fans on Twitter. They were like, well, we're playing. And
but you look at the Wigan side, it was a strong side, wasn't it? When you look at the team there, Joe Garner obviously playing for them. It was interesting to read the battle he was having with Aaron Hayden. Look at the highlights.
Yeah, seemed like they had a proper ding dong, which
you like to see, don't you?
For a pre-season, it's always good to see.
Yeah, and you know what, we all know what Joe Garner's like. He's got every trick in the book. I mean, you'd take him back tomorrow, wouldn't you? Any day.
Definitely. Joe Garner's one of those players, you absolutely love him when he plays for you, but you can't stand it when he plays against you. Exactly
that. He must be, 34, 35 now?
I think he's only about 32,
It's incredible, isn't it, when you think about it? He's had quite a career, hasn't he? He's been about a bit. So good result there. 2-1 win. Goals from Alessandra and Toure. I think it's Alessandra's second goal of pre-season. He's doing all right, actually, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's not one we expected goals from, really. So, yeah, done all right. And nice to see Toure get off to a good start of a goal. Only downside, really, of that game is the slight injury to Amari Patrick. A little bit of a worry there.
Yeah, I think he has had a bit of a niggle with his hamstring, reading reports, and he only lasted 16 minutes. I think it was possibly his Instagram or something. He mentioned, I was only on briefly. Let's get it sorted, ready for the season. So I don't think at the moment it's a major worry.
Yeah. To be honest, is it a major surprise that a player like him, who's just got probably the fastest player in the club, he's got bags of pace, they're always going to have slight issues with the hamstring, aren't they? Just because of the kind of players.
Yeah, and it's especially with the sort of stop-start nature of the fitness and training over the last few months. I don't think he'll be the first, and he certainly won't be the last.
Well, I hope he can get it sorted, because I've said this to you before, and I've said it here on this podcast. I genuinely think he could be a really exciting player for us. He just seems to have a few tricks in his locker and plenty of pace. I think he's one of those players who. We sat next to each other for the rare we actually sit next to each other at home games, isn't it? I was in the main stand for the game against Morecambe, and he had a great game that day. He's got a brilliant goal, and he's one of those players I genuinely think he could be a really good player for us. That's the pre-season game so far. We've got a game on Tuesday night against Sunderland.
I think it'll be afternoon.
That's afternoon, of course. That's Sunday. Tuesday afternoon, because obviously the circumstances you can play.
Their Academy of Light Training Complex.
Yep, that's the one. And we've heard suggestions of a couple more games, isn't there? But we don't know the full details yet.
But we don't know the opponents. I think next Saturday there's a game lined up, but again, it's all very quiet.
It'll be interesting to see who it's against. But yeah, so that's where we are at the moment in terms of games, obviously, that kind of thing. Let's briefly cover season tickets here, Dan. So just a quick update here. So sales so far are over 1,400. And we're recording this on Sunday night, and tomorrow morning, Monday morning, is when the season tickets go on sale to people who didn't have a season ticket last year, and you're one of them, aren't you? Because I think you weren't able to last year because of your shift pattern.
I think I worked out last season. It wasn't worth. I ended up missing 3 or 4 games, so the discount wasn't worth it for me last season. But I'll be getting mine tomorrow, and there's no doubt plenty others as well.
So 1,400 is a little bit down on last year, but I think in the circumstances it's not a massive surprise really, because there'll be.
No, I think early buy last season was approximately 1,700.
300 down.
But I also wonder if maybe some folk aren't getting, the free under sevens tickets, etc.
True, that's very true.
That sort of thing, which all gets counted.
Yeah, it's true. So even taking in the circumstances, I think it's a fantastic achievement to get 1,400 people to say, "Yep, we're going to come back. We want to come to the games." And I think it suggests that there's going to be a decent gap, a decent amount of extra space there for not walk-up sales, but single game sales as well, isn't there? I think that.
I think walk-ups. From what I've heard, walk-ups won't happen, but there'll certainly be advanced purchase possible, which will close at say 5 o'clock on a Friday, so they know exactly how many are in, etc.
Yeah. So that's good news. The 1,400 there. Hopefully, will be another 1,000 or so, maybe more in the next week or so, and then we'll get ourselves a solid 2.5 at least for the start of the season. That'd be really good news, that as well.
I think it wouldn't surprise me if we maybe sold more new ones, because it is the only way to sort of guarantee at the moment.
I think people might as well have been waiting to see where they can actually get seats and stuff like that. And obviously with the issues, we saw there were some issues with the main stand in terms of the way seats have been allocated. But I mean, I can't imagine the nightmare they've had to go through in that tick office to try and work out where people are going to be sat for these games. It cannot have been easy. But yeah, that's one of those things. So hopefully the next couple of weeks we'll hear there's even more sales, and we'll be back watching matches soon at Brunton Park. I genuinely can't wait. It's going to be really, really good.
Yeah. Which also brings us on to the next little thing we're going to talk about, which was iFollow.
Yeah, so let's briefly go into the iFollow stuff. So there's not a massive amount to say here, but it's an interesting development. I think it was on the Mail Online website, wasn't there? There was an article about that. The EFL have come to an agreement with Sky, and Sky get a lot of stick for what they've done in the game. This is pretty decent of them to effectively waive any compensation for losing their exclusivity of games for the start of the season. So what's going to happen is, while fans aren't allowed into games at the start, you will be able to buy a pass to watch those games, even the Saturday games. Previously it was only the midweek ones, but the Saturday games you'll now be able to buy a pass. Previously it was £10. I'm guessing it's going to be similar.
Yeah, I think what it's going to be is clubs in all three EFL divisions will be able to stream matches on their websites. Season ticket holders will get it for free because they've already paid, and casual fans will sort of pay the sort of standard £10, which we associate with the likes of iFollow.
You say that, but from what Nigel Clibbins was suggesting, that might not be the case at Carlisle, simply because of the way we've structured our season ticket offer, in that we're going to charge based on how many games you'll get. Yeah. So if you're season ticket holder, you probably still will have to pay, but you're getting a cheaper season ticket than you would do. Effectively. So
and I know there was an article came out about the iFollow, and I think we'll find out a hell of a lot more in the next week or two about how it's all going to work.
I mean, effectively, actually, it works out cheaper doing it the way we've done it, because I think it's per game for standing at least. It's something like £11 or £12. I can't remember the exact number.
Yeah.
And if iFollow's 10, well, if you're getting that as a free for every game, you're still sort of £2 down effectively, if you want to put it that way. Plus, if you're in a household where you've 2 or 3 of you've got a season ticket, well, it's not really much use having free passes for iFollow, is it? You might as well just pay for one in one go, but save you money from only paying for 20 games instead of 23 for the thing. So yeah, I think the way we've done it, I think, is it's interesting. You read the Facebook comments again on the posts that the club are putting up for Nigel Clibbins' interviews, and he's getting a lot of praise, and I think he's absolutely deserved for him and the club, the way they've communicated all this. They've been very clear from the start. They didn't want to take any more money than they had to from fans. They wanted to do this properly. We don't need the money because we're in a good financial situation. Well, steady financial situation right now. So I think credit where it's due. I think they're handling it really, really well, the club, this, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go into the last section, Dan. Let's briefly go through the ex-Carlisle United updates. This is a regular feature we have. We look at what some former Carlisle players are up to. I think as the season goes on, when we start getting games again, we'll look at how players are doing in terms of actual matches rather than transfers and things like that. First up, some news of 2 former managers who've got new coaching jobs in the game. So first up, your favourite person, Dan, Paul Simpson. He's got a new coaching job at Bristol City. An interesting development there.
Yeah, very interesting. He was quite settled in the England setup. Yeah, he's gone in as sort of the experienced assistant to, is it Dean Holden?
Yes, Dean Holden. I think he was a player for him at Shrewsbury, wasn't he? Possibly.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of, not quite the same age as Dennis Booth when he came to Carlisle.
Yeah.
Just sort of like the old sage, if you know what I mean, who's been there and done it, sort of thing.
You get the impression he's not too fussed on being a club manager these days, is he, Simpson? I think he's happily done with that side of things, and the coaching side, I think he seems to enjoy a lot more now, doesn't he? Because he's obviously done it in international level. So interesting move for him. You thought he would have been settled at the FA, and we've seen before managers move up the ranks at the FA, and A.D. Boothroyd ended up as under-21 managers simply from doing the under-18s and under-19s, I think, originally, under-20s possibly.
Yeah.
So, he could have potentially moved up to be under-21 manager at some point, but clearly he just misses the club game. So fair play to him for taking that. The other one, this is a really good bit of good news, is Greg Abbott being back in the game. So he's got a job as assistant manager at Notts County in the National League under Neil Ardley. He's obviously was assistant manager there, wasn't he, under Sean Derry in the past, but really nice because he's had a tough few years, hasn't he, Greg, obviously with his cancer battle. It's just nice to see him back in a coaching role. Yeah, and
Greg Abbott seems, for some reason, is a Marmite manager in the memories of Carlisle fans. You have the one set who think he underachieved, and then you have the other side who think he did all right with us. Maybe stayed on season too long.
I don't think anyone would deny that he stayed too long.
Yeah.
But when you look at his record, you look back now and you think where we are now and where we were under him for the few years, you think, actually, he did a pretty good job. I think there's a few actually who've probably changed their mind since then. But there's one thing clear, that he's one of the good guys in the game, isn't he? And he seems really popular. And the Notts County fans seem absolutely delighted to see him back because he was a good character to have around the club. And one thing you could say about him, you can spot a player. You can certainly spot a player. He struggled towards the end probably because of the budget wasn't as strong as it used to be. But when he had an okay budget, he could certainly spot a decent talent.
He's also got a decent contact book as well. You know, I mean,
absolutely.
We had that sort of relationship with Manchester United where he was friends with Warren Joyce, and we got several players from them. Not all worked, but we still got them.
Okay, so that's the two former managers covered. Let's look at two former players, a defensive partnership, in fact. Simon Grand and Danny Livesey, Chester, not Chester City, it's Chester FC these days, isn't it? They used to be Chester City.
Yes.
They've been given new deals there, so they're continuing their careers. Really nice to see that. It was interesting to see them playing together last pre-season, actually, in the game down there. You know what? They didn't look like they couldn't do a job in the Football League, to be fair. They played pretty well. Alongside them, obviously, Lewis Gray has been given a permanent deal by Chester, I do believe. So.
Yeah, I think that's probably about Gray's level, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And they seem pretty happy with how he did in his brief loan spell there at the end of last season. So nice to see them getting new deals and carrying on their careers.
Yeah.
Next up, Liam McCurran. You almost forget he played for us. It's that long since he played a first team football game, isn't it? Liam McCurran's been given a call up to the Scotland under-21 squad. He seems to be developing really well in the international setup at Scotland, doesn't he?
Yeah, and given that the not exactly depth of talent at Scottish level, you would like to think a couple of years down the line he'll progress and hopefully we'll have an international appearance clause on our deal for him.
I'd be amazed if we didn't, to be brutally honest, because it seems one that we throw into most of these contracts, don't we? Obviously, Jared Brandthwaite and Dean Henderson are two that we've talked about previously here. Be interesting to see what happens though to him this season, McCarran, because he's not played a first team game now for pushing on 18 months, I think.
Yeah.
Surely there's got to get to a point where he's moved beyond under-23 football and he needs to be going out and playing, doesn't he?
Leeds don't seem keen on sending players out, but
not for a couple of years at least, anyway. No.
Yeah, I know Edmondson went to Aberdeen where he actually to cover for Sam Cosgrove and ended up getting injured himself for 3 or 4 months. But no, I think with them being in the Premier League, I think some of their under-23 players will end up going out on loan because they'll need to get football on.
Yeah, you'd think so as well. Especially McCarran is playing for the Scotland 21s. He'll want to push on and start getting games. I don't think he's ever likely to end up back on loan at us, if I'm honest. I think he's one of those ones where they're wanting to try football elsewhere. And I'd imagine they're wanting to play football at League One level at the very least, I would have thought.
Yeah.
But well done to him. He seems to be doing well there. And finally, this is the weird one that I saw and I just thought it was worth mentioning. Port Vale have been linked with a move for Hallam Hope. It's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, considering Hope only went in January.
But there seems to be a few off-the-field issues at Swindon when you look at it. Because obviously they didn't manage to sign Joe Yates permanently. He's gone to Blackpool. And then Owen Doyle has left them already, hasn't he, to go to Bolton.
Yeah,
it's a really strange one, that one. But you'd think maybe with them gone, you'd have thought, well, that's his chance to... He's always wanted to lead the line, hasn't he? He's always wanted to be a striker. But there may be a few issues. Maybe he suddenly realised how far it actually is to Swindon from Manchester, and it's a little bit of a wake-up call for him.
Yeah. Port Vale would certainly suit him, wouldn't it?
Say that much anyway. Okay, Dan, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this episode, doesn't it? I think we've gone on a bit longer than I actually expected. The Champions League final's going on as we're recording right now, so it would have been nice to they've watched a bit. I know you've been keeping a track on the score and what's happening. So
yeah, it's actually coming up to half time.
I've missed nothing because I'm sat upstairs recording this one in a quiet room. Okay, so I think the update is pretty much as it was at the end of the last episode. So coming soon, and I promise you this is coming soon. Me and Mike are going to sit down and actually record the second part of our episode, our special episodes focusing on the 05-06 season. I recorded the first part a few weeks ago. We just haven't had time to record part 2 yet. So work gets in the way sometimes, doesn't it? And me and you are going to hopefully sit down and do one about kits in the near future. That's the plan. We've got a few bits we need to look into for that. We'll do a bit more research and we'll get that to you. And I think we mentioned as well we're going to do some season preview stuff as well, aren't we? We've allocated ourselves,
all three of us.
I think 8 clubs each. I think I've got 7 because we haven't included Carlisle, and that we'll do that one together. But we've got 8 clubs each to research, and I think we're going to spread it over 4 smaller episodes. I think is the idea, so you'll get a decent look at the clubs across the league.
Yeah, but we're planning to bring those out in the week running up to the season, aren't we? So there'll be plenty for you to listen to.
The aim is round about the Oldham game. Whether we'll get them out before that, it depends on availability and recording, basically, isn't it? But the aim is all 3 of us will be on those episodes, so we'll have a decent, good chat about the games there. So, thanks again, everyone, for listening. If you've got any comments or feedback, or there's anything you'd like to suggest we discuss, please send them in via Twitter to @BruntonBugle or by email to bruntonbugle@gmail.com. Remember, you can subscribe to the podcast via all good podcast apps, including Acast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. Please do give us a review. We really appreciate the excellent feedback we've had so far. Again, Dan, we've been looking, we've got some really good comments, and we have a new country on the listener list, don't we? Really pleased about this one. Vamos, Chile.
We do.
We've got a listener in Chile. If you've got that listener in Chile, drop us an email, drop us a message, let us know where you're listening to. We haven't heard from the guy in Kenya yet, so we hope we'll hear from them soon. But other than that, we're getting listeners all over the world, in Ireland, France, Germany, the Netherlands. There's a couple in Denmark, actually. There's one in Oslo, obviously we mentioned before that we know who that is, a good friend of ours. We've definitely had a couple in Canada. We've even had some random places in the UK as well, so it's good to know that Carlisle United fans are all across the world tuning in, isn't it?
Here, there and everywhere.
So that's it. That's episode 4 out of the way. Episode 5, not sure when it'll come. Maybe let the next couple of friendlies get out of the way, and we might even have some new signings. We might even sign Jamie Devitt by then. We might end the saga finally. Or he'll probably go somewhere else by then. That's the key thing. But thanks everyone for listening, and up the Blues.